The story unfolds in Hong Kong, where two brothers, Ho and Kit, are reunited after a long time apart. The joy of their reunion is palpable, their bond as close as ever. They catch up, reminiscing about missed times, and Kit eagerly shares his exciting news. He's been accepted into the police academy and dreams of becoming a cop who fights for justice. Ho, however, feels a chill at this revelation. As a triad member involved in a money laundering operation with his best friend, Mark Lee, Ho has always hidden the truth about his criminal life from Kit. Now, with his younger brother dedicated to upholding the law and him deeply enmeshed in the criminal underworld, the stage is certainly set for a collision. If you love epic brotherhood stories, legendary shootouts, and Hong Kong cinema at its finest, smash that like button and let's continue the story. Seizing the opportunity, Ho's sick father pleads with him to leave the business. He doesn't want to see his sons turn against each other, urging Ho to quit before Kit uncovers the truth. After a long consideration, Ho finally agrees to leave the life of crime behind, after one last job. Ho meets with his buddy Mark and Xing, a subordinate, and reveals his plans to retire after the next mission. Mark is deeply emotional, having shared countless dangerous moments with Ho. The business wouldn't feel the same without him. For this last job, Ho asks Mark to stay in Hong Kong to manage their crew while he and Xing head to Taiwan for business with a local gang. The day of the deal arrives, and Ho visits Kit at the academy. Kit is thrilled to see his brother. Ho tells him he has business in Taiwan and will catch up with him soon. Ho and Xing leave for Taiwan. They arrive at the location where the transaction is set to take place. As Ho steps in, a sense of unease washes over him. The buyer is nowhere to be seen, and instead, it's the buyer's nephew who greets them. Ho's suspicion spikes, and he instinctively prepares for trouble. His instincts prove correct. Suddenly, the nephew pulls a gun and opens fire. Ho takes cover and quickly retaliates immediately. In the chaos, he's shot in the stomach while trying to protect Xing. The chaos attracts nearby patrolling police, and the two escape into the mountains. But as the police close in, Ho decides to surrender, giving Xing the chance to escape. Back in Hong Kong, the Taiwanese gang sends a kidnapper to abduct Ho's father, hoping to silence Ho and prevent him from implicating anyone. The kidnapper sneaks into the house and tries to convince Ho's father to cooperate. Despite his illness, Ho's father fights back, determined to protect his family. Kit's girlfriend enters the scene, shocked. In a desperate move, she grabs a telephone and uses it as a weapon, trying to save Ho's father. But as they attempt to escape, the kidnapper shoots Ho's father in the back. Kit arrives just in time and attacks the man. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight, but Kit is finally overpowered. At the critical moment, Jackie, Kit's girlfriend, grabs a sharp knife and stabs the man in the back, but he knocks her to the ground. In pain, the man pulls the knife from his back and prepares to stab Kit. Just as he raises the knife, Ho's father throws a pot of boiling water in the hitman's face, causing him to recoil in agony. The hitman, now in a blind rage, strikes Ho's father with a fatal blow. As Ho's father dies, he pleads with Kit to forgive his brother. The news of Ho's arrest reaches Mark, who travels to Taipei alone, determined to avenge his best friend. The Taiwanese gang boss reveals that his nephew betrayed him by aligning himself with an ambitious triad member in Hong Kong who hopes to be in control of the business. He tells Mark that the nephew will be hosting a banquet that night, offering Mark the perfect opportunity for revenge. Mark drives to the restaurant, where he mingles with a singer in the hallway while indirectly placing his weapons in a flower pot. The nephew and his underlings are unaware of the danger approaching them. As Mark opens the door to their private room, he immediately opens fire, taking down the men one by one. When the guns run out of bullets, Mark casually discards them and retrieves his backup weapons, finishing off the rest of the attackers. As he exits, one wounded man fires 3 shots into Mark's leg. Mark, undeterred, returns fire, unloading the remaining bullets into the man, ensuring he doesn't survive. 3 years later, Ho is released from prison. On the day of his release, he finds a police detective waiting for him. The detective asks Ho to become an undercover informant to help take down the money laundering business in exchange for a clean record. But Ho turns down his offer. Meanwhile, Kit visits their father's grave with his girlfriend. As they return home, Ho appears, smiling and eager to see his brother. But his smile fades when he meets Kit's cold, resentful stare. Kit, without a word, walks toward Ho in the pouring rain and punches him, knocking him to the ground. Ho doesn't fight back. He knows that his actions have brought nothing but pain to his family. Ho, overwhelmed with emotion, stumbles away in the rain. Later, he sits alone at the pier, pondering what next. The next day, with a recommendation letter from an old friend, Ho seeks a new job at a taxi company. But his criminal past weighs heavily on him and doubts anyone will hire him. Just when he's about to give up, Mr. Ken, the owner of a local taxi company, offers him a chance. Mr. Ken, having been to prison himself, started the taxi company to give people like Ho a second chance. Ho begins working as a taxi driver, embracing a peaceful, decent life. One day, while waiting for a client, Ho sights his good buddy, Mark. Mark, who was once elegant and full of life, now limps, his appearance disheveled and working menial jobs to survive. The sight of his old friend in such a state makes Ho's heart ache. What shocks him even more is that Xing, now in charge of the triad business, humiliates Mark by tossing money on the ground for him. Ho is devastated to realize that during his time in prison, Xing has usurped Mark's position, climbing the ranks and taken control of the triad businesses. Ho realizes Mark had hidden his true state in his letters to him while in prison. When Mark sits in a garage eating his lunch in solitude, Ho calls his name, his sadness still evident. When Mark turns, his eyes fill with tears. The two men reunite in an emotional embrace. Mark, humiliated and longing for redemption, had hoped that once Ho is released from prison, they could take back control of the triad business and rebuild their lives together. But Ho, wanting to leave the criminal world for good, is determined to lead a simple life. Mark, though disappointed, respects Ho's decision. He warns him, however, to keep Kit in check. He's moving too close to Xing so he can bring him, and that's a dangerous path. Kit faces a significant setback at work. After learning about his connection to Ho, his boss removes him from the investigation into Xing's operations. They question his ability to handle the case, given his familial ties to a convicted gangster. This only fuels Kit's resentment toward Ho, and he becomes obsessed with proving himself. Later, Ho and Mark head to a bar to catch up on lost times. By chance, they run into Xing, who is there for a business meeting. Xing approaches them with a false sense of friendliness, but Mark, unbothered by the encounter, refuses to acknowledge him. Xing, humiliated, quickly retreats. However, Kit, having followed them, witnesses the exchange and immediately assumes Ho has returned to his criminal life. Furious, Kit drags Ho outside, demanding to know about the next deal. Ho, heartbroken by his brother's distrust, remains calm, even as Kit mocks him. Mark, unable to stay silent, steps in, confronting Kit over his disrespect toward Ho. The confrontation escalates, but Ho intervenes, begging Kit to give him another chance. But Kit, consumed by anger, can't see himself forgiving Ho. Later that night, Kit has an emotional breakdown. Jackie, deeply worried about him, tracks down Ho and pleads with him to leave Hong Kong for a while. He refuses, wanting Kit to see for himself that he's changed. As they talk, a group of thugs appears, informing Ho that Xing has sent them to bring him in. Ho, uninterested at first, agrees to go when he learns they've already taken Mark. Xing's true intention is revealed. He wants to use Ho's extensive network of clients and persuade him to rejoin the money laundering business. He also plans to expand into drug trafficking, using Kit to gain connections within the police. Ho blatantly refuses, warning Xing that if anything happens to Mark or Kit, he will answer to him. Ho takes Mark and leaves without looking back. That night, Kit tails Xing, who, still harboring a grudge against Ho, plans to get revenge. Xing's men lay a trap for Kit, setting up a stage scene in an alley. Kit, eager to prove himself, picks up a discarded piece of paper from the trash, finding a note that leads him to the location of a deal. He immediately reports it to his superiors, only to be told that he's still not allowed to participate in the case. This rejection ignites Kit's fury. Jackie tries to calm him, but he's consumed by frustration. On her birthday, Kit is so focused on his work that he neglects her feelings. She breaks down in tears and Kit, realizing his mistake, presents her with a gift, apologizing for his neglect. As the mood lightens, Ho suddenly appears, looking for Kit. His presence triggers Kit's anger once more. Ho warns him to be cautious about the lead he's following, suspecting it to be a trap. But Kit, still bitter, refuses to listen, blaming Ho for his lack of promotion and success. He storms off, determined to prove himself, disregarding Ho's advice. The next day, Kit follows the clue to a pier, where he witnesses a shady deal taking place. He rushes forward, gun drawn, but falls right into Xing's trap. Xing orders his thug to shoot Kit. The gunshot leaves Kit in a critical condition and is rushed to the ICU. Meanwhile, Xing abducts Mark, beating him mercilessly to force Ho into cooperating. At the same time, Xing's thugs descend on Mr. Ken's taxi company, trashing the place. When Mr. Ken and his workers try to intervene, they are ruthlessly beaten. Ho arrives, filled with rage at the thought of involving innocent people in their feud. Grabbing a weapon, he fights back fiercely. Amid the chaos, Xing's men dump the battered Mark and drive off. Not long after, the police arrive. With Mr. Ken and his workers' help, Ho manages to escape with Mark, narrowly evading the police. He takes Mark to the riverside, where they tend to their wounds. As they sit in silence, Mark, struggling to stand, turns to Ho, asking if he's willing to take on one last job with him. He's put up with the humiliation for 3 years, just waiting for a chance. Resolute in his decision, tells Mark he can't get involved. Mark walks away looking defeated. Mark infiltrates the money laundering building alone. He takes a hostage, breaks into a research lab, and secures a disc containing evidence that will implicate everyone involved in the operation. With the disc in hand, he releases the hostage and prepares to escape. But as he exits, a swarm of bodyguards closes in. Mark, undeterred, faces them head-on, guns blazing. He fights his way to the parking lot, but in the heat of battle, he drops the disc. He rushes to retrieve it, taking out the guards who try to stop him. Suddenly, Ho appears, and Mark tosses the disc to him. Ho hands the disc to Jackie, telling her to give it to Kit, as it is crucial to everything he's been fighting for. Back at the Triad headquarters, Mr. Yu erupts with fury when he learns the disc is missing. He blames Xing and demands the disc be returned at all costs. At that moment, Ho calls Xing, demanding he meet him at the pier by 10 p.m. with $2 million in cash and a boat ready to take him and Mark out of Hong Kong in exchange for the disc. Xing, fearing the police will get their hands on it, agrees to Ho's terms. However, before leaving, Xing shoots Mr. Yu. Later that night, Ho and Mark arrive early at the meeting point. When Xing arrives, he's greeted with a gun pressed against his head. Mark opens the briefcase to check the cash, then punches Xing in the face. They lead him to the pier, guns still aimed at his head. Ho tells Mark to go ahead while he finishes some business. Mark hesitates, wanting them to leave together, but after a moment of persuasion, he reluctantly heads to the boat, leaving Ho behind. Meanwhile, Kit, who has received the disc from Jackie and learned of the exchange races to the pier despite his injury. As soon as he steps out of the car, Xing's men point a gun at him. Ho, seeing his brother in danger, steps into a perilous situation, proposing a hostage exchange. Just as they pass each other, Kit attacks Xing, but he's shot in the shoulder. A brutal gunfight erupts between the two sides. Ho, ever protective, takes a bullet in the stomach while shielding his brother. Mark, still a few steps away, makes a U-turn and rushes back to join the fight. The three of them, now fighting side by side, also protect each other with every ounce of strength. But as the chaos subsides, Mark notices Ho's injuries. Dragging Kit, he scolds him, demanding he look at Ho, who made the choice to turn over a new leaf after his prison time. Mark reminds Kit that Ho has paid his dues, sacrificing everything for them. In that moment, Xing and his men seize the opportunity and open fire on Mark, killing him. Ho, enraged and devastated by the loss, reacts with blind fury, shooting at Xing's men. His eyes lock onto Xing as he attempts to escape. Ho chases him, but he misses every shot and soon runs out of bullets. Just then, the police arrive, ordering Ho to come out unarmed. Xing, seeing that Ho is out of ammunition, steps out from his hiding place, smirking as he tells Ho that he'll turn himself in. He claims that, with money and power, he can avoid justice, while he, an ex-convict with nothing, stands no chance. As Xing walks majestically toward the police, Ho watches, feeling heartbreakingly defeated. Just when he thought he had missed the chance to avenge his friend, Kit quietly hands his gun to him to take the shot. Ho, without hesitation, shoots Xing dead. In the aftermath, Ho handcuffs himself to Kit, symbolizing not just a unanimous surrender, but a final reconciliation and an unspoken promise to weather the storm together, like they used to, no matter what. And that's the story. Brotherhood tested, loyalty shattered, and redemption paid for in blood. If this recap hit you the way the movie hit all of us, then do me one favor before you go. Tap that subscribe button so you never miss another legendary Hong Kong recap. If this story hit you with its mix of brotherhood, betrayal, and sacrifice, then you'll want to continue the journey in Casino Raiders 2, a film that takes everything darker, sharper, and far more brutal. This sequel isn't just about gambling. It's about fate, revenge, and how one moment at the table can destroy a life or ignite a comeback soaked in blood. The betrayals cut deeper, the stakes are higher, and the payback is unforgettable. Click on Casino Raiders 2 next. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. And before you go, drop a like, leave a comment about your favorite moment, and hit subscribe to join a community that loves legendary Asian cinema as much as you do. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap.